Fair Use Copyright Notice. Section 107 of the U.S. Copyright Act. Please notice that this is my creative guidance on this project. How to play League of Legends? No bullshit, fuck you. What you're going to learn is everything on that page. The 3 holy grails of League of Legends. CSing, which is killing minions. Warding, which gives you vision. And the minimap, which gives you information. This is the map of League of Legends 5v5 mode called Summoner's Rift. There's top lane, mid lane, and bot lane. Wow, look at all those things on there. Now, top lane. What is the top lane? It is an island, and it's during the Cold War. You two are fighting it out and beating it out of each other. Now, what does that mean? That means you want to get CS, you want to make sure they don't get CS, and you're going to want to make sure that you win the lane. You win the lane by getting more pressure on the towers, getting more pressure through helping your jungle gain solo kills and objectives, roaming down and helping mid lane and other lanes gain pressure and kills through that, and other types of deals dealing with that. Now, what champions can help you in top lane? Garen, Darius, Mundo, and Singed are 4 champions that are very easy to play in the top lane. Garen is very simple. He's considered the simplest champion in League, and because of that, he has virtually no kit to worry about. That will let you focus on other aspects of the game, such as CSing, farming minions, looking at your minimap, and warding. Now, mid lane. What is the whole goal with mid lane? Is roaming, pushing, CSing, and making plays. Now, what does that mean? That means you're going to want to roam to make use of proper objectives, such as dragon, and helping out other lanes, such as top lane and bot lane, by roaming down and helping them. Now, what's this going to mean for the jungle? This means you're going to roam to jungle if they're having trouble. Let's say they're 1v1 in the enemy jungle. You're going to want to roam, and if you have lane pressure, you want to roam and try to help him with that 1v1, securing that kill. Now, what champions are good for this? And I have 3 champions shown. This is Annie, Brand, and Veigar. And he's the simplest champion, and she will help you greatly in League. This is the champion I recommend. Brand and Veigar are 2 other champions that are also very powerful in mid lane and would greatly assist you in your adventures in mid lane. Now, ADC. You're the primary physical damage of the team. What does that mean? Auto attack. Now, what does this mean overall? You're going to have to look for taking early objectives with your team. So, like, first tower and first strike, and participating in the team fights as you're the primarily physical damage of the team. Now, CSing is really as important to see. It is more important than other lanes, as you can't always guarantee you will get kills in a 2-person lane, as you are in lane with your support. Now, the ADCs I've shown is Ashe, Tristana, Misfortune, and Sivir. Out of all these champions, I would recommend Tristana out of the other 4, as she is the most simple, and she's a very safe champion to play. Now, moving on, support. What the support does is you make plays to help your ADC get fed. This includes other things. Now, what are you actually doing? Your main goal is to provide the majority of the vision control for your team, which means roaming a lot. Now, what does this actually mean is you're going to roam a lot to mid lane and top lane, getting both, helping them, assisting them in kills, getting lane priority, and vision. Now, you all will also provide a lot of utilities, such as stuns and CC. I have champions listed: Soraka, Janna, Leona, and Lux. Out of all these champions, I would recommend either Soraka and or Janna. This is because Soraka is a very heal-focused champion. She is very easy for you to play, but she requires good team information. So if someone's fighting top lane, you will have to know about this by using the indicators on your above your map, and use your ultimate at the correct times. That is why Janna is also a good suggestion, because she has very nice hard CC, shields, and other types of utility. Moving on, jungle. What are you gonna do? You're gonna gank. What does that actually mean? You're gonna secure neutral objectives, ward offensively, counter gank, counter jungling, and make sure your teammates don't lose their lanes. Now, what junglers do I recommend in this very gank heavy season? Warwick, Pantheon, and of course Jarvan. What is this? Why? Because ganking is very important, and these 3 champions are very easy to play. They are relatively cheap in the shop, and they have relatively good clears. Now, out of all these champions, I recommend Warwick. Warwick is considered probably the easiest jungle. He has a very healthy clear. What that means is he will not take a lot of damage when he clears the jungle. Because of this, he will have a good time getting early ganks, because he has a lot of HP, and be able to gank a lot because of that. Moving on, these are the major neutral objectives. This includes Baron, Shelly, also known as the Rift Herald, the 4 Elemental Drakes, and of course, the Elder Dragon. So what are the spawn times? The spawn time for Shelly is 10 minutes. She despawns after 9 minutes and 45 seconds unless she's in combat, then she respawns 10 seconds later. After she despawns, the Baron will spawn. He spawns at 20, and he has a respawn timer of 6 minutes. I mean, he can be killed at technically an infinite amount of times, but based on the amount of respawn and how many times you decide to kill him. Now, the 4 Elemental Drakes. They spawn every 5 minutes, and they spawn at the first one spawns at 5 minutes. The spawn order is randomized. It means you could have 3 wind drakes in a row, or you could have a fire, an earth, a ocean, and then a wind. It's completely randomized. After 35 minutes, the Elder Dragon will spawn. What that means, he will not despawn any dragons existing. So if there's a wind drake or any other type of elemental drake before 35 or at 35, after you kill it is when the Elder Dragon spawn. His respawn timer of 6 minutes. Moving on, the Dragon Slayer buff. Anytime you kill a dragon, an elemental dragon, you get a stack of the Dragon Slayer buff. What that means is you will have more damage and more utility out of the Elder Drake, and each of the elemental drakes have their own uses. The Cloud Drake gives more movement speed, Infernal Drake gives more damage, Ocean Drake gives it more regeneration, and the Mountain Drake gives it more damage to epic monsters and turrets. The Elder Drake, what that does, it buffs all of those on top of giving you a true damage burn. True damage is damage that cannot be negated. That scales with the amount of dragons you've taken. So killing the Void. After killing Shelly, she'll drop Eye of the Herald. When the Eye of the Herald is popped, the Shelly will be summoned into the rift, and she will push the closest lane. She will use all abilities that she had while gaining her. The person who picked up the Eye of the Herald has 240 seconds to pop the eye, and when the person has the Eye of the Herald, they have an empowered recall. When you kill the Baron, all the people get an empowered recall, which is a 4-second recall, and the Hand of the Baron. The buff deals extra damage to you, and it buffs up any minions close to you to have more HP and more damage. This means you will have better time of pushing. If you're not alive when Baron is killed or you die while you have the Baron, you will lose the buff. The buff itself lasts 210 seconds. Moving on. Now that you have all this information, you can see how the different lanes interact with each other to pressure each other through how each lane wins or loses the lane, and how that plays out on the different objectives. So let's say mid lane and bottom lane lost, but top lane won. That means you have a decent amount of pressure on the Baron and Shelly, but you do not have a lot of pressure on the Dragon. Moving on. So let's say, why is warding important? So in the top lane, I'll use this example and then show more examples for the other lanes. But let's say you're CSing in lane, right? Then this is where you are. The brown line is where the minions are, and that's where the enemy is. So you're pushed up. Let's say the jungle comes in and you don't have any wards in the river or in the tri-bush. You will get completely killed because you're so far pushed up. But if you ward it in the river bush or in the tri-bush, you have vision. That vision gives you information and it will allow you to back off. The little X's are different locations you can ward. These locations are based on if you're winning or losing. So let's say you're losing really badly, you might think about warding the blue side, at least in this situation, the blue side tri-bush, letting you know if someone is trying to gank you and tower dive you. Moving on, this is the mid lane. The white wards circled with the white circle are offensive wards. These are wards that affect you offensively and show you if the enemy jungler and where he is. The purple wards give you river control or river vision control. The orange wards give you direct help in the mid lane, which means these are the routes that are most likely to be taken by the enemy jungler. And the blue wards are the wards that are the most defensive. So these will be really useful if your jungle is losing, doesn't have a lot of jungle priority. This of course will be flipped if you are on the red side. Moving on, this is the bot lane. This has a lot of wards as the bot lane is 2 people and therefore more wards. Everyone should be placing wards. Everyone on the team should be placing wards. So ward directly for the blue side bot lane, you should be placing in the river, which is the most obvious, and the tri-bush, which is the most obvious. Then you can also place wards such as ward number 10, which shows the enemy blue buff and the Gromp, which is very good for rotation. So if you see the blue buff is up and you place a ward there, once the jungle comes to clear that, you can call your team, hey, jungle is bot side, and that means, let's say the top lane, your jungle is top side, and then the top lane one lane, they can take the Rift Herald or something similar. And that will tell you know that you should play a bit more safer and a bit more reserved. Moving on, this is a very special ward that is from either the red side or the blue side support and or ADC can do. This is a ward that you can place through the wall and allow you to place a ward into the bush. This is a very nice ward because this will really help you if you're on the red side and you're losing, as you can ward the mid lane, the river bush, easily without having to walk all the way into your tri-bush and warding through that wall. Now, at level 1, you do not have to place a ward, but if you are placing in these locations based on your team, is a good idea. Why you might want to place a ward is, let's say you can't stay in one location, or you're a single person guarding a large amount of space, and to prevent an invasion, which is the enemy team goes to try to take a buff at level 1, you would place a ward there. At the same time, you want to think about should you ward, because at the same time you want to save a ward for later in the game, around 2.5 minutes to 3 minutes to ward to avoid the jungle ganks. Moving on, these are the wards in the game. There's the blue, the yellow, which is the most often, which yellow is what you start at the beginning of the game. The blue is what is an upgrade, and the sweeper lens, which is also something you can use. Those are the 3 that are free, and then there's control wards. Buy control wards. Control wards are incredibly OP. They cost 75 gold, and they are amazing. They last an infinite amount of time until killed, and they reveal the area and block the vision of any other ward, as seen in the picture. So you should always buy a control ward, and you should always have a control ward up at any point in the time, except when on your first buy. Blue trinkets are used for far range vision, so like scouting out a bush, it would be very useful. And sweeper lens is similar to a control ward, where for some time it would hover over your champion, and you can walk around looking for wards, let's say in the enemy jungle. So how to be a minimap god? You look at the minimap. Now, what you can use is an inverter timer. I have a link on screen that will take you to an inverter timer I personally use that has an 8-second delay between pings, and that will tell you to look up or down at your minimap, and you'll be like, oh, okay, I have to look. You hear the ding, look at the minimap. And you can also turn the ping volume when you press G and drag to one of the sides, towards one of the cardinal directions. You will make a ping. Press G and pull to the left. That makes a missing ping. What that means is your laner is missing. That is very helpful, and you should ping, and ping if your laner is missing. And you can also turn the size and the volume of the pings, and the size of the minimap in the options. Now, macro, it's about pressure. What is macro? Macro is this map. This is the pressure map. What this map is entailing, it is the different locations and pressures. So let's take the example on the map right now. As you can see on the right, I shall not re-explain, but the minion line is that location. Let's say you won mid lane. You're the mid laner, and you're pushing up to their tower, and you want to start attacking the tower. But you're looking at your minimap, and you see that the enemy top lane won, and he took the first tower already, and he's missing from top lane. So what does that tell you? Let's say you don't have any wards in the blue topside jungle. That means that the top lane could either be recalling, taking your jungle, or he could be roaming down to try to kill you with the enemy mid laner and help the enemy mid laner that you beat in lane recover from that. And that would be a danger. That's why defensive wards are also good to be a reactionary. So let's say your top lane lost. The defensive ward that we talked about earlier for the mid lane could be a good choice. This is one of the most important maps and ideas to grasp. So if you can grasp this, you will be very safe. Now remember the 3 holy grails, which is CS, looking at the minimap, and vision. Macro plays into all 3 of those based on if you win lane, you win in CS, you win in vision, or you win at just information. That is why vision is very important. If you remember one thing, remember to look at your minimap. Now, thank you for watching. I had this guide, and big thanks to all the people in the community who make all these amazing tooltips that I use throughout the video for the general public use, such as the wiki and other informative sources. Thank you all for watching, and to the people who work hard in our community. Thank you all. Have a good time.